Hi! Today I want to talk to you about all the books that I've gotten over the holidays, which I'm very, very grateful for. People seem to know that I like books, surprise, and I have been gifted quite a lot. Either books that they have chosen for me themselves, or books that I got to buy with gift cards for bookshops. So let's just get started. The first book I got was All the Beauty in the World by Patrick Bringley. When Patrick's older brother dies at the tender age of 26, all he wants is to retreat. So he does. He quits his job and seeks refuge in the most beautiful place he knows, New York's Metropolitan Museum of Art. All the Beauty in the World recounts Patrick's time as a museum guard, keeping quiet vigil over some of the world's greatest treasures and uncovering the Met's innermost secrets. As his connection to the art and the life that swirls around it grows, so does Patrick, and gradually he emerges transformed by heartbreak, community, and the power of art to illuminate life in all its pain, pleasure, and hope. I'm curious for this one. I was gifted this one by my husband, and we went to the Metropolitan Museum of Art together, so it is very sweet. Next I got What You Are Looking For Is in the Library by Michiko Ayami. What are you looking for? So asks Tokyo's most enigmatic librarian. For Sayuri Komaki is able to sense exactly what each visitor to her library is searching for and provide just the book recommendation to help them find it. A restless retail assistant looks to gain new skills. A mother tries to overcome demotion at work after maternity leave. A conscientious accountant yearns to open an antique store. A recently retired salaryman searches for a newfound purpose. This seems interesting. It gives me a bit of the feeling of When the Coffee Gets Cold, which I am still to read, actually. So I don't know if I'm going to like this or if what I'm going to feel about it. But I love the black cat on the cover because I have a black cat. Then there's A Tale for the Time Being by Ruth Ozeki. In the wake of the 2011 tsunami, Ruth discovers a Hello Kitty lunchbox washed up on the shore of her beach home in British Columbia. Within it lies a diary that expresses the hopes, heartbreak, and dreams of a young girl desperate for someone to understand her. Each turn of the page pulls Ruth deeper into the mystery of Noah's life and forever changes her in a way neither could foresee. Yeah, I think this one is going to make me cry really bad. I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hapman. I have already talked about this one, I believe, because I had the softcover edition of this one, but I got a hardcover, so I'm definitely getting rid of the softcover edition. Deep underground, 39 women live imprisoned in a cage. Watched over by guards, these women have no memory of how they got there, no notion of time, and only vague recollections of their lives before. As the burn of electric light merges day into night and numberless years pass, a young girl, the 40th prisoner, sits alone and outcast in the corner. Soon she will show herself to be the key to the others' escape and survival in the strange world that awaits them above. So I was already very interested in this one because it sounds very post-apocalyptic, which is my style, I'd say, a bit dystopian. So yeah, very curious. Nesting by Roisin O'Donnell. On a bright spring afternoon in Dublin, Chiara Fay makes a split-second decision that will change everything. Grabbing an armful of clothes from the washing line, Chiara straps her two young daughters into her car and drives away. Head spinning, all she knows for certain is that home is no longer safe. This was meant to be an escape, but with dwindling savings, no job, and her family across the sea, Chiara finds herself adrift, facing a broken housing system and the voice of her own demons. As summer passes and winter closes in, she must navigate raising her children in a hotel room, searching for a new home, and dealing with her husband Ryan's relentless campaign to get her to come back. Because leaving is one thing, but staying away is another. What will it take for Chiara to rebuild her life? Can she ever truly break away from Ryan's control? And what will be the cost? This is going to be pretty intense, I think. We'll see. Then there is Dream Estate by Eric Pushnar. Cece is in love. She has arrived early at her in-laws' beautiful lake house in Salish, Montana, to finish planning her wedding to Charlie, a cardiac anesthesiologist with a brilliant future. When Charlie asks Garrett, his best friend from college, to officiate the ceremony, Cece can't imagine anyone less appropriate for the task. After all, Garrett, a depressed baggage handler at the local airport, doesn't believe in marriage. But as she spends time with him and his gruff mask slips, she grows increasingly uncertain about her future, leading to an impulsive decision that will alter the three friends' lives forever. the events of that summer reverberating across 50 years and spanning generations. This one seems kind of fun because I think it is like a romance feeling, but with it covering over 50 years, I think it might be very intense as well. And really like rupturing people's lives, and you know, like the butterfly effect, like how one decision influences the rest of your life. Tender is the Flesh by Augustina Basterica. If everyone was eating human meat, would you? Marcos is in the business of slaughtering humans, only no one calls them that. He works with numbers, consignments, processing. One day he's given a specimen of the finest quality. He leaves her tied up in an outhouse, a problem to be disposed of later. But she haunts Marcos. Her trembling body and watchful gaze seem to understand, and soon he becomes tortured by what has been lost and what might still be saved. So I have heard that this one is really good because actually, to be honest, I wouldn't pretty soon pick this up myself. I'm kind of, well, scared is not a word, maybe a bit grossed out by the whole idea of eating human flesh. So yeah, I'm a bit scared to read this, but I'm also intrigued, and it is said to be a really good dystopia, so who knows. The Burgess Boys by Elizabeth Strout. Haunted by a freak accident that killed their father when they were children, Jim and Bob Burgess escaped from their main hometown of Shirley Falls for New York City as soon as they possibly could. Jim has belittled his big-hearted brother their whole lives, and Bob, who idolizes Jim, has always taken it in his stride. But their long-standing dynamic is upended when their sister, Susan, the sibling who stayed behind, urgently calls them home. Her teenage son, Zach, has landed in a world of trouble, and Susan desperately needs their help. And so the Burgess brothers return to the landscape of their childhood, where the long-buried tensions that have shaped and shadowed their relationship begin to surface in unexpected ways that will change them forever. Again, a bit of a Bildungs novel, I would say. The growth of characters through harshness in their lives. Yeah, seems interesting. Bear by Julia Phillips. Sam and Elena dream of another life. On the beautiful island off the coast of Washington, where the sisters were born and raised, they and their mother struggle to get by. Then one night, on the ferry where she works, Sam spots a bear swimming the dark waters. Where is it going? What does it want? When the bear turns up at their home, Sam, terrified, is more convinced than ever that it's time to leave the island. But Elena responds differently to the massive beast. Enchanted by its presence, she throws into doubt the sisters' long-held dream to escape. This one seemed interesting for like that sister dynamic, and I'm curious because they each have their like own approach, and who would be right, which decision would be the right one to take. The Society of Unknowable Objects by Garrett Brown. The world of unknowable objects, those seemingly ordinary items that most people have no idea possess magical powers, has been quiet for years. Indeed, there is a secret society whose sole purpose is to gather these artifacts together and keep them safe from the outside world, and the outside world safe from them. The society meets every 6 months in the basement of a London bookshop, and it's at one of these meetings that Frank Simpson, the society's longest-standing member, reveals that a previously unknown item has surfaced in Hong Kong. He asks the newest member, author Magda Sparks, to investigate. Within hours of her arrival in East Asia, Magda is confronted by a killer who seems to know all about these unknowable objects. She manages to escape, but only by using her own magical artifact that the society knows nothing about. Magic, mystery, a London bookshop, yeah, it was easily sold. This Other Eden by Paul Harding. Set at the beginning of the 20th century and inspired by historical events, This Other Eden tells the story of Apple Island, an enclave off the coast of the United States where waves of castaways in flight from society and its judgment have landed and built a home. I just like stories about islands. It's the secludedness and anything that could happen there, and the feeling of isolation. It always grabs my attention. So I love books about islands. We'll see if I like this one too. How Do You Live by Genzaburo Yoshino. In How Do You Live, Copper, our hero, and his uncle are our guides in science, in ethics, in thinking. And on the way they take us through a school story set in Japan in 1937, to the heart of the questions we need to ask ourselves about the way we live our lives. I'll be honest with you, I was mainly drawn in by what it says here. It was the inspiration for the major motion picture by Studio Ghibli. Now, I don't think I have seen this actual film, but I like that there is like a children's book that is an inspiration to a story, so I would love to read this. The Instrumentalist by Harriet Constable. Venice 1704. Anna Maria may have no name, no fortune, no family, but she has her ambition and her talent. Her best hope lies in her teacher, Antonio Vivaldi. Soon she is his star pupil, but as Anna Maria's gift grows, her shining light begins to eclipse that of her mentor. The prodigy becomes the rival. She will leave her mark whatever it takes. Her story will be heard. I actually have no clue what it is about. Even from that blurb, I cannot really derive what it is telling me. But it is happening in Venice, and I like the cover, so I got it. Private Rights by Julia Armfield. I do think that I have another unread Julia Armfield book on here, which is called The Wives Under the Sea or something like that. I'm not sure. It's been raining for a long time. Sisters Isla, Irene and Agnes have not spoken in many months when they are brought together by the death of their estranged father, an architect famed for making their now submerged city navigable. As the waters continue to rise and the sisters grapple with both their father's estate and memories of his easy cruelty, they sense that something sinister is unfolding around them. Something related to their mother's long ago disappearance and the strangers who have been unusually interested in their lives. Soon it becomes clear that the sisters have been chosen for a very particular purpose, one with shattering implications for their family and their imperiled world. So this one is also happening apparently underwater. So I don't know if that is connected to that book I was talking about. I don't think this was portrayed as like a sequel to Our Wives Under the Sea. No, I don't think it is. Apparently Julia Armfield has a preference for underwater happenings. Then I got this little black penguin book. It's from Dante and it is Love That Moves the Sun and Other Stars. I don't see myself picking up any more Dante pretty soon. I read some of his work, a bit of Inferno when I was in college. But I thought that if I got like this tiny book and it was only like €2, then I would read some Dante again and feel like very accomplished for reading him once again. Flesh by David Saleh. I hope that's alright. Because it won the Booker Prize last year. 15-year-old Istvan lives with his mother in a quiet apartment complex in Hungary. New to the town and shy, he is unfamiliar with the social rituals at school and soon becomes isolated, with his neighbor, a married woman close to his mother's age, as his only companion. Their encounters shift into a clandestine relationship that Istvan barely understands, and his life soon spirals out of control. Yeah, I'm curious because it won this very impressive prize, and usually the Booker Prize winners are pretty good books to read. So yeah, I'm curious. I did notice that this is the second book with like the word flesh in the title, which is not like a favorite word of mine. But well, we'll see if the story can draw me in. And then I also got The Elements by John Boyne. This is like an omnibus for 4 books that he has written. The books are named after the 4 elements. I'm taking off the price tag here so I can show you on the back. So there's normally water, earth, fire and air, and they are collected together in this book. I'm not too sure what they are about actually, but this looked really impressive, and I do believe that I have seen those separate books before, and had wanted to get them like in the same edition, or to get them like with the appropriate matching covers. So I was kind of glad to find them in this omnibus. Human life is governed by the elements: water, earth, fire and air. They are fundamental to our existence. They sustain us, but they also challenge us. In The Elements, John Boyne has created a vivid kaleidoscope to reflect that contradiction. A quartet of intertwined narratives, each providing a different perspective on cause and effect from the points of view of the enabler, the accomplice, the perpetrator, and the victim. A mother on the run from her past, a young football star on trial, a successful surgeon grappling with childhood trauma, and a father on a transformative journey with his son. The 4 strands weave together to form a tapestry of intersecting lives. So once again, sounds really interesting. Seems kind of a lot though, but I do feel like if I read this, I would be able to count this as reading 4 books or a whole series. So yeah, that might be actually my motivation to get started on a big book like this. Alright, so far I have only talked about books that I have gotten or that I was able to buy with gift cards. I decided to include the books that I ordered and that have arrived between Christmas and now so far. So I could give you like a bit of an overview of my complete haul of the past month. The first book I got is The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry by Gabrielle Zevin. I got this one mainly because I read Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Zevin, and I decided that I should read something else by her. So this one is about A.J. Fikry, the grumpy owner of Island Books. He is going through a hard time. His bookshop is failing, he has lost his beloved wife, and a prized rare first edition has been stolen. But one day he finds 2-year-old Maya sitting on the bookshop floor with a note attached to her asking the owner to look after her. His life and Maya's is changed forever. I'm interested to read this, interested to see the dynamic between this bookshop owner and this 2-year-old little girl. Yeah, I think that this one might make me cry just like Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow did. Then I got Endling by Maria Riva. It was promoted somewhere or told somewhere that this was a really good book. I'm not too sure who mentioned it again. It might have been Jack Edwards. It seems like his kind of suggestion. So Yeva is a maverick scientist who scores the country's forests and valleys, trying and failing to breed rare snails, while her relatives urge her to settle down and start a family of her own. What they don't know, Jeva already dates plenty of men, not for love, but to fund her work, entertaining Westerners who come to Ukraine on guided romance tours, believing they'll find docile brides untainted by feminism. Nastya and her sister Solomia are also entangled in the booming marriage industry, posing as a hopeful bride and her translator while secretly searching for their missing mother, who vanished after years of fierce activism against the romance tours. So yeah, it actually really sounds interesting because it is about this whole marriage industry and women fighting against this or trying to turn it around and make use out of it for themselves. So yeah, this one. Strange Beasts by Suzanne J. Morris. I got this one because it was mentioned by Sid Bookworm. At the dawn of the 20th century in Paris, Samantha Harker, daughter of Dracula's killer, works as a researcher for the Royal Society for the Study of Abnormal Phenomena. But no one realizes how abnormal she is. Sam is a channel into the minds of monsters, a power that could help her solve the gruesome deaths plaguing turn-of-the-century Paris, or have her thrown into an asylum. Yeah, I don't quite often read about vampires or vampire-like things, but because I heard this one was so good, I really wanted to try it, and I do think that the cover looks pretty cool as well. So yeah, maybe for something darker, maybe around October or something. Then there is A Swan's Daughter by Roshani Shoksky. I've mentioned this one before with my most anticipated winter reads. So this one came out already and it arrived. So Prince Aerys knows that marriage means murder. After a poorly worded wish generations ago, all one needs to rule the Isle of Malice are the heart and hand in marriage of the kingdom's heir, regardless of their survival afterwards. Aerys' only chance at a long life is true love. When his parents announce a tournament of brides, a throng of beautiful bachelorettes arrives at the castle, but Aerys cannot tell who is there out of love for him or lust for power. His only hope is Demelza, a Veritas swan who has fled to the castle for sanctuary. Demelza's song rings truth from lies, and so they strike a deal. Aerys will hide her in exchange for her help to sort through the potential brides. So this sounds like a mix between the Swan Princess, like the fairy tale, and what's that series called? It's this young adult series about, it's The Selection. Not that The Selection was my favorite series or anything like that, but I hope that this one is doing it better. Then I got The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. I saw this one on a lot of lists, like on Goodreads and everything, like a must-read book. Sybil van Antwerp has throughout her life used letters to make sense of the world and her place in it. Most mornings around 10:30, Sybil sits down to write letters. To her brother, to her best friend, to the president of the university who will not allow her to audit a class she desperately wants to take. To Joan Didion and Larry McMurtry to tell them what she thinks of their latest books. And to one person to whom she writes often yet never sends the letter. Sybil expects her world to go on as it always has. A mother, grandmother, wife, divorcee, distinguished lawyer, she has lived a very full life. But when letters from someone in her past force her to examine one of the most painful periods of her life, she realizes that the letter she has been writing over the years needs to be read and that she cannot move forward until she finds it in her heart to offer forgiveness. So I saw this one in a lot of lists, and apparently a lot of people love this book, so that's why I want to give it a try. Then both O. William and Tell Me Everything by Elizabeth Strout arrived. Now, why did I get these? I have these must-read books for 2026. And one of those books is Lucy by the Sea by Elizabeth Strout. And I only recently discovered that it is part of a book series. So this is actually book 3 of a 5-book series. So I had to buy the other books because I do not own enough series already. And the last book is Rosemary and Rue by Shannon Maguire. I think this is the first book in a series, but I got this one because it was recommended to me by my best friend, who apparently loves this series. So I got the first one, and I'm going to try and actually read this one before I buy all the others, because I do believe there are like 19 books or something already in this series. So yeah, let's try for once to not get ahead of myself here. The world of fairy never disappeared, it merely went into hiding, continuing to exist parallel to our own. Secrecy is the key to fairy survival, but no secret can be kept forever, and when the fae and mortal worlds collide, changelings are born. Outsiders from birth, these half-human, half-fae children spent their lives fighting for the respect of their immortal relations, or in the case of October Toby Day, rejecting it completely. After getting burned by both sides of her heritage, Toby has denied the Fae world, retreating into a normal life. Unfortunately for her, Fairy has other ideas. Alright, that's my haul so far. I feel like I have already gotten more books than I can probably read in a year's time. Well, that's not true, but I very much doubt that all of these will be getting read this year. But you know, collecting books is something different than reading them. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Tell me if you have gotten any interesting books this year, and I hope to see you soon in another video. Bye!